I never joined a call. So why did my webcam turn on? Nightmare 1. I always thought people who covered their webcams were paranoid. Every laptop I'd ever owned had that tiny camera staring back at me, and I never really cared. I figured if someone wanted to watch me work, scroll social media, or eat microwave dinners alone, they'd probably get bored pretty quickly. Still, about a year ago, I started noticing more articles about hacked cameras. People claimed strangers had accessed their devices remotely. Most of the time, it sounded exaggerated, like something meant to scare people into buying expensive antivirus software. Then, one night, I forgot to close my laptop before going to bed. Around 2:30 a.m., I woke up thirsty and walked into the kitchen for water. As I passed my desk, something caught my attention. A tiny green light. The webcam indicator was on. I froze in the hallway, staring at it. I hadn't opened any apps that used the camera. I wasn't on a video call. The laptop had been idle for hours. I walked closer slowly, almost hoping the light would turn off once I got near it. It didn't. The screen was black, no programs open, just the small green light, glowing steadily. My stomach tightened. I moved the mouse to wake the computer. The screen lit up instantly. No camera apps open, nothing running in the background. Then the cursor moved on its own, slowly, deliberately. I pulled my hand away from the mouse. The cursor opened a text document. A blank page appeared. Then letters began appearing on the screen. Hello again. My chest tightened. I unplugged the laptop immediately. Heart pounding, hand shaking. I kept telling myself it had to be a glitch, a prank, malware doing something random. But then another line appeared before the laptop powered off completely. You look different without the lights on. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I took the laptop to a computer repair shop. The technician ran multiple scans and found remote access malware hidden inside a free video converter I had downloaded weeks earlier. He asked if I lived alone. I said yes. He nodded slowly and told me something I'll never forget. The hacker had accessed my webcam multiple times over the past month, late at night, early mornings, times when I was home, but not actively using the computer. He said whoever did this wasn't just testing the connection, they were watching. The technician removed the malware, but the damage was already done. Now I keep tape over every camera in my home, laptop, tablet, even the tiny lens on my smart TV, because I learned something most people don't realize. You don't always know when someone is looking at you, but sometimes they've already been watching for weeks. If this nightmare made you uncomfortable, the next story might make you think twice before trusting someone you meet online. Subscribe to Nightmare Central for more true, scary stories, because the next nightmare started with what seemed like the perfect match. Nightmare 2. I wasn't looking for anything serious when I downloaded the app. Just conversation, maybe someone interesting to talk to after work. Her profile stood out because it didn't feel fake. No overly filtered photos, no generic bio quotes, just normal pictures. Coffee shop, dog park, bookstore. Her first message was simple. You seem easy to talk to. We talked for hours that night, then the next night, then every night after that. She remembered everything I told her, where I worked, my favorite food, the gym I went to, even the story about how my car broke down in high school. It felt natural, comfortable, safe. After about a week, she asked if we could text instead of using the app. I agreed. Her responses became almost immediate. Sometimes she replied before I finished typing. At first, it felt flattering. Then one night, She sent a message that made my stomach drop. "You take Maple Avenue home, right?" I stared at the text. I had never told her my route home. I asked how she knew that. She replied with a smiling emoji and said she paid attention. Then she sent a photo. It was taken from across the street. My car was stopped at a red light, my license plate clearly visible. I felt sick. I asked when she took the picture. She said earlier that evening. She told me she just wanted to make sure I got home safe. I blocked her immediately. 2 days passed without any messages. I started to calm down. Then I got a text from an unknown number. Blocking me doesn't mean I can't still see you. I changed my number, deleted my social media accounts, stopped using dating apps entirely. Months later, I started a new job. During orientation, the HR manager handed me paperwork, emergency contact forms, background check authorization, standard stuff. Then she asked if I was currently in a relationship. I said no. She looked confused. She told me someone had already called asking to confirm employment details. A woman who said she was my girlfriend. I never used dating apps again, because sometimes the person who seems perfect online already knows exactly where to find you. Most online transactions feel routine, simple, anonymous. But the final nightmare shows how easily a stranger can learn far more about you than you ever intended to share. And this one stayed with me the longest. Nightmare 3. I listed my couch online because I was moving to a smaller apartment and didn't have space for everything. It wasn't anything fancy, just a normal 3-seat couch I'd had for a few years. I took a few photos, wrote a short description, and posted it. Within about an hour, someone messaged asking if it was still available. His messages were normal, straight to the point. He asked for the measurements, whether there were any stains, and if it came from a smoke-free home. Typical questions. He mentioned he'd need help loading it because he was bringing his teenage son with him. That made sense. Couches aren't easy to move alone. They showed up right on time that evening. Older pickup truck, nothing unusual about it. The man was polite but quiet. His son barely said anything, just kept looking at his phone while we maneuvered the couch through the doorway. It took all 3 of us to get it down the stairs without hitting the railing. Before they left, the man thanked me and said the couch would be perfect for their basement. That was it. Normal interaction. The next morning, I woke up to a notification. He had sent another message. "Do you still have the bookshelf from the photo?" I opened the listing again. There was no bookshelf in the photo, just the couch. I told him he must be thinking of a different listing. A few minutes later, another message came through. The tall one near the hallway. I paused. There was a narrow bookshelf in my apartment, but it wasn't visible in the listing photo. Only part of the hallway wall was behind the couch. I assumed he might have seen it when we carried the couch out. I told him the bookshelf wasn't for sale. He replied almost immediately, "Your place has a nice layout." Something about that sentence made me uncomfortable. It felt unnecessary. I didn't respond. About an hour later, another message appeared. I didn't realize how much you can see in reflections. My stomach tightened. I opened the listing photos again, zooming in carefully. That's when I noticed the reflection in the TV screen. If you looked closely enough, you could see part of the hallway, the angle of the bedroom door, even how far the hallway extended. It wasn't obvious at first glance, but it was there. Another message came in. "Your bedroom is right down the hall, correct?" I didn't reply. A few minutes passed, then another message. Sorry, I noticed details. Habit from work. I blocked the account. But later that evening, I received an email notification from the Marketplace app. He had viewed several of my older listings, things I had sold months earlier. A coffee table, a lamp, a small desk. Each listing showed different parts of my apartment, different angles, different rooms. Individually, the photos didn't reveal much, but together, they showed almost the entire layout of my home. Where the bedroom was, where the windows were, where I usually stood when taking photos, even which direction the sunlight came from in the morning. I realized I had unknowingly documented my own living space over time, room by room, piece by piece. For anyone patient enough to look, I deleted every listing I had ever posted, removed my profile photo, changed my name on the account. I even went back and checked other platforms, making sure nothing else showed pieces of my home. At first, I felt better, like I'd fixed the problem. But later that night, I caught myself noticing things I had never paid attention to before. How visible my living room was from outside. How easy it would be for someone to recognize the building just from the angle of the windows. How many small details I had shared online over the years without thinking twice. The truth is, I'll never know if he actually pieced everything together. I'll never know how closely he studied those photos, or how long he had been looking. But now, every time I take a picture to post online, I find myself checking the background first, looking at reflections, zooming in on windows, making sure nothing personal is visible. Because once something is online, you don't control who sees it, or what they notice, or what they remember. And sometimes, the scariest part isn't knowing someone is watching. It's realizing you may have already shown them everything they needed to see. Something even scarier than this nightmare is not watching more videos from Nightmare Central. This was Nightmares of the Internet. Sleep carefully